Okay, welcome to metanames. So metaname is kind of a misnomer. It's an antiquated, anachronistic term now. It's a legacy term that people used to use when talking about, when they say light carbide. That's a metaname, right? Instead of the normal one, which is, it's just the basic name that you can buy a Tech One blueprint and build, right? That's when you're just starting out building and you haven't gone to Tech Two and invention and all that stuff. The stuff that drops as loot is never going to be Tech One. It's going to be some version of a metaname, and that could be anywhere from level 1 metaname to level 4 metaname. And as the meta level increased, the stats and stuff typically increased along with it in tandem. And there was really no enduring or compact or scoped or anything like that. It was just typically when you got a higher meta level, it wouldn't matter about the metaname. It was just a random arbitrary metaname, and kind of like the current arbitrary names for the guns. I'm just brought up all the guns to give you an insight as to what the metanames used to look like. Like, say, for example, it's arbitrary because look at Scout, and then you have a bunch of meta level 4 Scouts as well, right? Autocannons versus railguns, right? There was no rhyme or reason to the naming system. It's sort of like, the meta level 6, the Cosmos stuff with their interesting naming convention. That used to be the way for everything. So now when you see a quotation marks, you're like, oh, it's probably Cosmos. There are a couple of things like, say, I'll bring up an example. For mobile tractor. So the pack rat and, well, Genesis kind of sucks for prices. So the Magpie, it's found in Wormhole and Nullsec. I had it. Give me a sec. Where is it? Tractor. So the Magpie and apparently the pack rat are found in the ghost sites, the sleeper sites. Those tractor units are actually. Why is that? I think there's some errors here. I think it's not actually correct completely. That's probably a blueprint copy, right? It's unit blueprint copy, and I guess they forgot to put in the pack rat because when you look for it, it says sleeper, and so the ghost sites have both those potential to drop. And so the Magpie is faster tractoring. The pack rat is tougher. And that's the meta name, and the meta level is what they had. Let's actually bring that up again. The meta level was meta level 1. Meta level, give me a sec. Meta level 1, meta level 2, meta level 3. Right? So there's no real way to tell because this naming convention doesn't help you. So you're like, right? It might if you really thought hard about why CCP named them different, right? It might make sense, right? Like the longbow, it is for a pulse, small focus pulse laser, but you think it would be it, and I believe No, it's, you'd think the gauntlet would be for the small pulse laser because the longbow is longer range, right? Yeah, so it was really arbitrary, honestly. Especially, when I talked about the scout and in the autocannon, and then the scout in the railgun. So incredibly arbitrary, incredibly annoying. So most things were like this. It was really convoluted, annoying, and frustrating. Like limited and restricted and modulated tended to be like like modulated for if you're into lasers. Modulated was metaphor, done, right? That was easy. But the problem is, if you go scout and you're into autocannons, and then you went to Galente stuff, like hybrid stuff, you'd be, oh, scout's meta 4, right? But it was actually meta 2. So yeah, I'm sure they weren't trolling. It was just, they just weren't thinking. And that was the thing. So that's meta level, meta name. It's meta level, meta name. It's the same thing. It's confusing now because we all have enduring, which is lower, low on the capacitor. You've got scoped, which is longer range. You've got compact, which is less fitting, right? So that kind of naming convention they called tiericide when they went through and changed all the stats and made it enduring and compact, and scoped and stuff. And sometimes you wouldn't get a scoped and sometimes you wouldn't get it enduring, but you typically get a compact, and it made more sense. But when people say meta name, it's hella confusing to people because it doesn't make any sense, right? Why do you call it meta? Like, why is it meta? Right? There's no meta, like meta, like, is it meta group? No, it's, right? It's, yeah, this is not helpful. And the meta level is also not helpful at all because meta level 0 doesn't really make a lot of sense in gaming terms, and neither does meta level 9. It's like, this is, right? It's like, oh, this is the best. No, it's going to reduce all your resistances to 0. It sucks. And is there any, like, the faction stuff is all meta level 8, but, right? So are the stats all the same for every single, typically? All these stuff, why is it meta level 6 instead of meta level 5 and tech 2 is meta level 6? I have no idea. It's just right? You just have to go with it. You're like, oh, okay, but it doesn't really help you at all, except with the meta name stuff. When we say meta named, we mean this right here. When somebody says meta named, they're old school and they mean this stuff. When you talk about meta level, we mean this stuff, because anything else is just incomparable, right? So that's the way you go about it. When we talk about other stuff, like we talk about faction stuff, we say faction. When we talk storyline, we mean storyline. When we mean this stuff, we say tech 2. When we see meta named, we mean this stuff. And yeah, it's confusing. You're welcome, right? But it's just the naming convention. Now, if they teracided all the guns, which there are a lot of, they'd probably do enduring and compact and scoped. And that would make a hell of a lot more goddamn sense. They'd just been lazy. I think they just walked away from it and were bored and went to something else, right? So until they change that, right? And even if they do change it, they will still have the meta level, they'll still have the meta level, but the meta name will now more truly, like, if we were talking meta name currently and these were teracided, this talk would be a lot easier because this would all be either compact or enduring or scoped. And I wouldn't have to explain it to you because it would be self-explanatory unless you didn't know what compact, enduring, and scoped was, right? So I wouldn't need to make this distinction, right? Say in the terms of what does meta level mean for this stuff? Well, it just means different stats. But you think, oh, okay, then meta level 3 is the best, but it's really not. As you saw, it's some version of tiericide, right? So pack rat is volume. I'm assuming volume is more for the pack rat because it's pack rat, right? And then magpie would be faster because, you know, it would be longer range and probably higher velocity, right? So it's tracking with maximum velocity. It's not with volume, but it's maximum targeting range. And then of course you've got I don't think optimal range really right for a tractor. Then it would be shield capacity, which would be toughest for pack rats. So pack rats, more volume, tougher. Magpie is the same, no boost in volume or armor, but faster tracking and more range. So yay. But yeah, I mean, you can't tell that by the meta level because it's just right. So for closure here, to give you a better example of what it is now, is we'll just go scoped. And this is all the stuff they changed, and right, that's a lot. We'll go enduring. Right, so we've got enduring, but I just did the small guns. Imagine how many more of this they'd have to do just to deal with the guns, which is probably why they're running screaming from it. Right? Scoped. Right? So it is, and there's no blueprints for this. This is just like, unlike the tractor beams that are found at ghost sites, sleeper sites, in null and wormhole. This is just loot, drop loot, as opposed to, like, you know, the faction stuff that'll drop sometimes, that are, you know, the good stuff. This is just the basic shit that drops, right? These, to put it, to make the reasoning behind all this is explained. The effect of all this from days gone by is the loot drops, the loot tables. This would invariably drop all this stuff. Not so much the latest stuff, right? Like, say, the capital stuff, I don't think drops. But the old stuff, the drop stuff from rats, the normal rats that would drop the bullshit, would be all the metaname. They'd never drop the meta level 0, and they never drop Tech 2 stuff. So Tech 1 and Tech 2 stuff, they'd never drop, except they drop the meta-named. And then sometimes, you know, the faction stuff, right? So, yeah, the storyline, you get blueprints for completing missions, Cosmos missions, and then the blueprints for, you know, other stuff would be like the data and relic stuff, and then you get blueprints for that. You build it, like, you know, stuff you'd get in Abyssal, you get blueprints, right? So yeah, that's the name convention. Hopefully that helps make things understandable. And there's one more thing, officer, and we're not going to go there because it's just, I never want to associate myself with somebody who purchases officer fits. That's just whale stuff. Just don't even freaking go there. I don't even know what the meta level that is. Let's dip our toe into that. Here we go. What is... No. Metaname 15. There you go. Past 10, I guess. Or past 9. Anyways, there you go. Hope that helps. As an addendum to this, welcome back. There's a lot of clipping in this video, sorry. Yeah, it's a complicated topic, but hopefully I made it simple. And EV University has an article about it, and they even link dev blogs about it. Let's go check out this dev blog back in 2014. Yeah, that's helpful as mud, clear as mud. Do they have a YouTube? There's a YouTube thing. Why did they have it at timestamp? We'll see. Maybe it's jumping right to it, or it could be random. Cross our fingers.
So let's talk a little bit now about modules. This is something we've talked a lot about chips so far in this presentation. And we want to go over a little bit about our plans that I showed you a glimpse of right at the beginning for module tiericide, for essentially...
Okay, so it is correct. Good, good. Okay, so I'll link that. Okay, so I'll link that. And I believe I'll link this one as well. Let's see. So I'll put this in the description for you. Okay, that's already linked. Good, good. And sorry about all the scrolling. I'm just checking it out. Okay, this is good, good. Okay, yeah, so if you want... Good. Okay, so I'll link all that stuff. Cool. And, of course, link the EV University thing. There. So I'll link all that in the description for you. Hopefully that helps give more detail. All right. Have a good one.